Ready.
Just relax and enjoy the ride.
In these uncertain times, people certainly need entertainment, and we can certainly provide. With our podcast, Hybrid Anime, we will talk about certain anime, certain manga, and certain manga turned into anime.
Don't forget, video games based on certain anime.
Yeah, we certainly can't forget that. And you can be certainly certain that we will provide that in Hybrid Anime.
So you're going to introduce me to anime?
Yes. Certainly.
Will I like this anime?
Debatable.
Not certain?
Not certain.
Okay.
It's certainly debatable.
Will they enjoy this podcast?
Certainly.
Wherever great podcasts are found.
Ready.
Just relax and enjoy the ride.
Hi there, I'm Lloyd.
And I'm John, and we're from Pina Comics. As we dive into your favorite pop culture topics, we may just
Occasionally,
use language that could be considered...
globaloney.
What? No, I mean...
Oh, foul.
Exactly. Offensive.
No doubt. Crass.
You bet your ass.
Sophisticated.
What? No. Anyways, you get it by now. It's mostly just...
gutter talk.
And one more thing. Watch out for spoilers. Sometimes we drop them like trousers. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Welcome to the Pint Movie Invitational Series.
A large object traveling at supersonic speed is headed over the North Atlantic toward the east coast of the United States.
Welcome back to another episode of Pina Comics. I'm John, and he's Lloyd, and we are here for another Pint Movie Invitational episode, which means, you know how it goes. We invited a friend on, and they picked a movie, and we're going to talk all about that movie. But let's start off with a little bit of Lloyd time. I like to call it Lloyd time. Lloyd, what's new? What's happening?
Yeah, we need our Lloyd time.
Yeah, we got to find out.
I am feeling so great after my 3-week sabbatical.
Your 3-week sabbatical, yeah. We as we discussed in a prior episode, you were down with the Cove.
I was down with the COV.
That's right. You know me, and you made it through. You're good. You're great. You're wonderful. You look better.
You know, I'm better than ever before in the last 1 year.
Good. Maybe it rebuilt maybe COVID went through, and
I think it did do a little restructuring.
There you go. You're now
my back actually feels better.
Good.
Great. I'm loving life.
Well, I wish every case could be that way, but at least yours is. But yeah, you're feeling good. You look better. We recorded an episode while you were like pretty much like in the toilet sick. Yeah. Like you weren't good at all. And you were peaked and tepid and all the ID words I could think of that will go along with that. Vapid and lucid and
rancid.
Rancid. You were all of those things at once. Let's introduce everybody to our guest. He's a good friend of ours. We met him a couple years ago at maybe, I don't know, Terrificon or maybe one of the cons. He's from
Plastic City.
Plastic City. No, we knew you before Plastic City, didn't we?
First time I met Tim was at Terrificon.
Okay. I thought it was Terrificon, but either way, it's Tim Jones. Tim is the sole creator, artist, writer of a very awesome comic strip. Now, I did not say comic book. I said comic strip. Tim, tell us all about your strip. Tell us all about where people could find it, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Sour Grapes is the comic strip, and the comic strip is a self-syndicated comic strip, and it's in multiple newspapers across the country. Self-syndicated means that I made it happen. I got it into the newspapers by being a pain in the ass to editors. So it's a strip about Aesop, who's a miserable flying dog, and his odd friends, and they all live in a problematic world together. And as far as me goes, who gives a shit? But,
you're the guest.
Oh, all right. So I'm usually the comic artist at Comic Cons that nobody gives a shit about. But so I've been cartooning for about 20 something years. And with Sour Grapes, it's been around since 2014, 2013. Really came to life probably 2015, kind of went nuts from there. I've been doing the, cartooning thing, like I said, for quite a while. Just been so focused on Sour Grapes, I really haven't done anything else. Every now and then I might do a freelance job and stuff like that, but I'm mainly focused on Sour Grapes and that. So that's about it.
How many volumes of Sour Grapes is out right now?
You mean like a book?
Yeah, like how many books?
Well, I have compilation books, so I try and put one out every year, except for last year because COVID. I got about half a dozen books and a couple of coloring books that I did for the younger kids.
Nice.
Starring Aesop and his pet cloud, Ominous.
I love that, Ominous.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. Yeah, Aesop has a pet cloud named Ominous. He pops up in the strip a little more often than he used to. And I decided that I wanted Aesop, who's a dog, which really isn't a dog because he doesn't do anything dog-like. He's more of an individual, but I thought it might be fun to give Aesop a pet, but not a dog, of course. So I gave him a pet cloud.
Nice.
Why not, right?
Yeah, it works.
And then go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and don't sell yourself short because I'm going to get it totally wrong. But you're in what is it again? The Institute of Give It to Me, like the Cartoonist Institution. You're in that's actually pretty prestigious.
Oh! It's the National Cartoonist Society. I've been a member of that since 2018, I think, 2 or 3 years. And that's not easy to get into. That's anybody who's everybody, or everybody who's anybody in the cartooning world. Anybody from Jim Davis all the way down to, us little guys. It's amazing, and it was a huge hurdle for my budding career. And, if I didn't get in, I was going to kind of second guess me even doing this. But I got in. It's been great. It's awesome for networking. I've met so many professionals. I'm at the NCS booths at Comic-Cons now that have them, especially Rhode Island Comic-Con. And up at Boston Fan Fest, they have one up there too. So I'm allowed to go up and be at those booths with some big shots. And so I do that instead of getting a separate table at those particular cons. Regular cons, I have to get my own table, but unless I'm a guest and stuff. But the NCS tables are a lot of fun.
All right, so that's where we could we'll talk at the end of the show where everybody can find Sour Grapes if they want to check out online presence and all that stuff, and if they want to buy some stuff. We suggest you buy some stuff. I've bought some stuff before. I enjoy it very much.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of books too.
It's great stuff. But let's go over now that we got a little bit knowing you, and before we talk about the film, we obviously have to do what we do here all the time, the 5 questions that Lloyd cooks up. Lloyd just has 5 random questions for you, and feel free to elaborate as he... Oh, I like that. That's his line, but I'm going to say it today.
Oh,
feel free to elaborate.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's off the cuff. You don't have to have had studied for this, so don't worry.
No.
Well, I would have been fucked if I did. So.
Yeah, me too. All right, ready?
Yes.
Beetle Bailey or Hagar the Horrible?
Oh, Hagar.
Hagar. Ooh,
you didn't even think about that.
So quick. It was immediate.
Yeah. No bullshit.
Only the one time you'll hear me be quick, but that's actually one of my influences or favorites. It's Hagar the Horrible. The way it's drawn, the simplicity of the lines and all that. Just getting artistic about it for a minute.
Right.
The humor, the characters, all that stuff.
Now, can you tell me the connection between those two?
Between what two?
Hagar and Beetle Bailey.
Did they? Maybe they both came out around the same time.
Yeah, they were. But I think those two artists both collaborated on another strip.
Oh, so it was Brown and was Beetle Bailey? Was it Walker?
Mort Walker.
Yeah, they do. Was it Blondie?
Was it Blondie or
it was
High and Lewis?
What is that?
You don't even know the answer?
No, I knew it, but I forgot it.
Jeez,
not Tim, I forget things.
No, not you, Tim. Him. He's asking you this question, putting you on the spot, and then he's guessing. Oh, yeah. It could be right. Oh, Manster. -5 Manster points.
All right, ready for the next one? Keanu Reeves or Jennifer Connelly?
I don't like Keanu Reeves or Jennifer Connelly, and I don't know who she is. So kind of.
Let's see. Do you ever see the movie Labyrinth?
Yes.
With David Bowie. She's the girl in that.
The Rocketeer.
And then you might remember her after that in a lot of other things.
Yes. I remember Labyrinth. I remember The Rocketeer. So yeah, okay.
She was in the Hulk with Eric Bana.
I know the connection too.
You know the connection?
Only because I read it today. I never. They starred in the remake of the film we're talking about today.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, they did?
They did, yeah.
Oh. All right.
Lost in Space.
Yes.
Or Land of the Lost.
Ooh. Lost in Space. Just because I grew up with it. I grew up with both of them.
Yep, me too.
I did. I grew up with both of them. It's just that Lost in Space was black and white for a while. And then went color, which is another reason why I like the movie we're going to review. I love the black and white stuff. So yeah, I'll go with Lost in Space, and I love Dr. Smith on there. So.
Oh, that guy was the biggest dick, man. When I was a kid, I used to sit in front of the TV and yell at that guy, thinking, maybe he could hear me or something.
Yeah, he was just the biggest pain in the ass, annoying guy. That I don't even know why he was even there to be. I'm trying to remember why he was there, but
was he the ship's doctor, or
I don't think he was that kind of a doctor.
Oh, proctologist maybe? The ship's the ship's proctologist.
He's a pain in the ass, so
yeah, he was just the biggest coward in all respects.
Now come here, robot, and bend over.
Of course, Land of the Lost had those cool sleeve stacks with little crystals.
I was scared as fuck of the sleeve stacks as a kid.
Well, it was Enoch. Was that his name? Enoch,
probably.
The guy with the stones.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it was Marshall, Holly, and Will were the three main characters, and I was scared as shit of those things.
Yeah, me too.
All right, two more. Snapple or Arizona iced tea?
I'll say Arizona iced tea because I never tried Snapple.
Oh, it's the best stuff on earth.
No, Arizona iced tea. So Snapple gets all the name recognition. Arizona iced tea is the fucking bomb. Like everything they make is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And the cans are the size.
Cans.
The cans are the size of my torso, and they're 99 cents. It's like you get a fucking keg of iced tea for 99 cents. You got to try to figure out how to drink it all.
Yep.
Oh my god, I don't like iced tea. I get the Paul Newman half and half.
Yeah.
But the light stuff, I can't drink the heavy stuff because of my diet. I get it's like next to nothing in there. If you look at the ingredients, they're night and day from the regular to the light stuff. So I'll drink that stuff by the gallon.
A lot less sugar.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, and the last one.
Yes.
Johnny Cash or Willie Nelson?
Oh my god. Johnny Cash.
Yes, I like that answer. I like Willie too, but
Johnny Cash, he was the truth. He was a tough guy. He was the
man in black.
I used to love the way he held that guitar and made it look like he was doing something, but he really wasn't.
Yeah. Went to prison, sang concerts there.
That was some balls right there.
Yeah.
And nobody tried to kill him. So
yeah. Yep. Well, I mean,
he was one of them,
Even if you're a prisoner, like in Folsom or whatever, and you kill Johnny Cash, your name is mud at that point. You know what I mean? Like, right. You don't kill Johnny Cash. Even if Johnny Cash is like, he's the big mark in prison, hey, you kill Johnny Cash, you get some name recognition, but you better not kill Johnny Cash. I think that's how it went. All right, good 5 questions. Tim, now that we know more about you, let's find out what was the film you picked, and then tell us why you picked this film.
I'll start with the second question first. I've never seen the film initially.
Oh, okay.
And I really wanted to. I've always wanted to see it. I love the movie poster for it, the promo poster, when I saw it and stuff. So I was like, I want to see this. So I picked The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. I love these nostalgic, old, like I mentioned, black and white movies. I love old sci-fi movies and stuff. And this was one that I always wanted to see. So the one I picked.
All right. Let's get into it a little bit. The Day the Earth Stood Still, as you said. And I think, I want to bring this up before I forget. we've been doing the movie invitational episodes for quite a while now. We're probably close to 40 of them. This is easily the oldest that we've done. You picked the oldest film that we've done so far on these episodes. So congratulations for that. You don't get anything for it, but
is it the first black and white, or did we do black and white yet?
We did a lot of black and white in the Universal stuff.
The Universal.
I think this is the first black and white in the PMI. So yeah, The Day the Earth Stood Still. It was released on September 18th, 1951. As I did mention before, this was remade and released in 2008 with Keanu Reeves and Jennifer Connelly. The remake was directed by Scott Derrickson, who is the guy who made Doctor Strange for Marvel. This was filmed between April 9th and May 23rd of 1951. So this is going back quite a way. Tying it into another PMI we did, the director of this film directed another movie we talked about. Director Robert Wise, who directed The Haunting and The Sound of Music, also directed Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which we talked about last year with our buddy Keith from Geek Time Network. This was written by, I love these 50s names. Everybody had Edmund H. North. Edmund H. North, who wrote the screenplay. He wrote the screenplay for the war film Sink the Bismarck with an exclamation point at the end of it. And Patton, amongst other things.
Yeah,
Meteor, yes, yep. This is based on the short story Farewell to the Master by Harry Bates. Master Harry Bates, which the original short, the original short story.
To grow up with, right?
Yeah, there you go, Master Harry Bates. The original short story was in the October 1940 issue of Astounding Science Fiction. So that's basically what we're dealing with here. Now,
do you know anything about Harry Bates?
I don't know anything about Harry Bates. No.
The DVD that I've got here, which I rented. Or I took out from the library. So for you people out there, you can still go to your library and get DVDs and watch movies and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, real quick, what's the name of that app you use, Lloyd? That
Hoopla, Hoopla, which is associated with the library. And then you can do a lot of borrowing through there of a lot of digital media.
So look at that. This Panda Comics, not a sponsor, Hoopla, but if it helps you out with some stuff during our we're still in lockdown, basically a year of COVID, you've run out of ideas. No more Netflix, no more Hulu, no more any of that good stuff. Check out Hoopla. You could borrow stuff from the library.
Yeah, that DVD in the special features actually has a reading of the story Farewell to the Master, which I couldn't actually sit through. It's hard to just sit there in your living room and listen to something off your TV. But they talked to him and they did a little interview of his vocal interview. You couldn't actually see him, but he was an old guy when they interviewed him, and he was talking about he was living almost in poverty at that time. He had written a lot of really good sci-fi stories, and he was all excited about, I guess, having them collected and then publishing them posthumously, and he was very excited because he knew his work would live on. And then right after this little featurette, a little blurb went up on the screen, said none of his works were ever published like this, and basically he died unknown.
Yeah, that's kind of sad, but it would have been sadder if it said he died immediately after the interview.
Right.
He died during the interview. He fell over into the interviewer's arms and said, "Avenge me." All right. So, now also, I think this is interesting. 3 years after this film came out in 1954, this was redone as a radio serial, a 1-hour radio special featuring some of the original voices, including the lead actor. So, because that was a big thing they used to do back then. So, Master, why don't we go through the cast? Which this is interesting because usually when we talk about cast, everybody's like, well, of course, George Clooney. Yep. These are people from the 50s, so we might not know who they are as easily.
Before I start the cast, did you get any budget and box office information?
I left all that for you.
Okay, good. I did find some, amazingly, because it's so old. All right, so the cast, an unknown at the time. His name was Michael Rennie as Klaatu. Klaatu is the humanoid alien being that comes down, a visitor from another planet, to deliver a message to the Earth. Funny thing, Spencer Tracy wanted this role, and the director said, "No way! I don't want anybody who's known. We need somebody that people don't know." And they sure got the right guy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, here's a question. Your father, right? Tim, you're a father?
Yes.
Yes. So your father, you meet Klaatu, who's going by the name Carpenter. You know him for about 18
I know where
minutes.
this is going.
You know him for about 18 minutes. Do you leave one of your kids with him to go gallivanting with your girlfriend for the weekend? Tim, do you do this?
It's funny you asked that because I kind of wondered that when I saw the film.
Oh, I think we all did.
No.
Not 2021 Tim, but maybe
No.
1951 Tim.
Especially if he's like giving diamonds away,
Yeah.
Right.
which
That was crazy, right? That whole scene. No, should we do him? Oh, what harm could it be?
Oh, just get Mr. Carpenter to do it. He doesn't mind. It's like,
Yeah.
first of all, how the fuck do you know he doesn't mind? Second of all, he could be he could be a molester. Like, I get it's 1951.
Yeah.
But like bad people aren't only strictly in 2021, there were bad people back then too. But she's just like, I want to go have sex with my boyfriend under a shady oak tree in a field, after we have a picnic lunch. Leave little fucking Ronnie Howard clone with my new neighbor here. What the fuck?
This guy who just came off the street.
Yeah.
All right. After Michael Rennie, you've got Patricia Neal as Helen Benson, basically level-headed woman, other than leaving her child with a stranger. She was also in Breakfast at Tiffany's, HUD, and Ghost Story. One of my favorites.
Tim.
Not favorite so much, but
Yes.
1951 chicks. Scale of 1 to 5. What do you give her?
It was tough to tell because it was black and white, and the way she was dressed, you couldn't really tell the body and stuff. With the pointy boobs there. Those bras that those drinking cups you can get at the local cooler. But I'll give her somewhere in the middle, like 3.
3. Lloyd, what do you give her?
Yeah.
I'm going to go up to a 4. Yeah, I liked her style. I liked her voice.
Something about her, I give her a 3.75.
Yeah.
I give her a 3.75. Marriage material for sure. I'd probably pop her just to see what it felt like. But yeah, I give her a 3.75. Yeah. Although I would have to have a talk with her about how security with our children. I don't know, if I would trust her in that area.
Well, she's got to mess up her hair a little bit for me, and then I might move up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she had
like
that
a
hairstyle
scoop
of the
of ice
50s, the really smooth on the top around the crown, and then all curly around the edges.
Yeah.
Got the whole ice cream scoop look.
Yeah, the ice cream scoop. That's it.
Typical World War II widow look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Then we have Hugh Marlowe as Tom Stevens. That's Helen's boyfriend, who's all about giving up the child for a day so he could, lay some pipe.
Oh yeah.
He was in All About Eve, Rawhide, Birdman of Alcatraz, a lot of stuff. He's a total douchebag in this movie.
Oh, he shows his true colors at the very end there. He says that one line with well, none of this will matter when you see me in the papers. Right. Holy fuck, are you
You'll be
real?
married to a hero.
Yeah, holy shit. Jump off a bridge, dude.
Yeah. Then you've got one of my favorites of the film, Sam Jaffe as Professor Jacob Barnhart, who had a pretty storied career. This guy was an actor, a teacher, a musician, a dean, an engineer. I mean, this guy was amazing.
Was he a proctologist too?
I believe, yes. Nope, that is in my notes for a little further down. He was also blacklisted by, Hollywood movie studios around this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was thought to be a communist sympathizer, as a lot of people were back then.
He was hired. I didn't
right.
read
Despite that, he was still hired for this movie and for Ben-Hur. I mean, he was in Ben-Hur.
Well, and part of the reason he was hired in this movie, or at least what they were going for with the character, which I kind of saw myself, when watching it, and I don't know, Tim, if you agree with this, but then I read afterwards, he's Einstein.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's a stand-in for Einstein.
Yeah, they gave him the hair.
Yep.
They gave him the hair, and then I also thought when Klaatu asks Ron Howard Jr., who's the smartest person that and he says Dr. Barnhart, I thought, well, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, but how does a kid know that too?
Well, but because then you realize he's like Einstein. Everybody knew Einstein was the man.
True that.
Yeah, true that. Einstein.
True that.
Peace out, Einstein.
So then you have Billy as Bobby Benson you have Billy Gray. But that was the little boy, that knew all about Dr. Barnhart, who took Klaatu to the movies and to Arlington Cemetery to see his dead father.
Oh, and also ripped him off for diamonds by paying him how much?
Yeah, gave him $2 for two, like, I don't know, 4-carat diamonds, clarity, like through the roof.
Now, Tim, were you like me with Bobby Benson? Were you trying to figure out, I mean, I feel stupid now because he kind of makes a comment later that made sense, but were you trying to figure out why this like 10-year-old kid was wearing a tie through the first half of the movie?
Was
Everybody
that what that was?
in the 50s, yeah.
I didn't know if it was a tie or
it was like a little half-size tie.
A little pull string, yeah.
It was, I think that was a Boy Scouts uniform.
Yeah.
It had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that was because everybody else's tie was short, so I think that was the style. Pants halfway up to the nipples.
Yeah, it went down to like the second shirt button.
Yeah.
Well, remember, when your mother pawns you off to strangers, you have to be very formal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That guy, Billy Gray, he had a big role as Bud Anderson Jr. in Father Knows Best. That was his biggest role.
I think he's still alive, Bobby Benson.
Yeah. Billy Gray.
What's
Robbie Benson is alive.
Robbie Benson is
alive. Who are we talking about?
The kid.
Bobby Benson is the character's name. Billy Gray is the actor.
Oh, Billy Gray. Okay, yeah, he's still alive.
Yep.
I'm looking. He's 83.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a dumb question. Math wise, what is this? 60 years?
It's a 70-year-old movie.
70-year-old. Holy fuck. Wow.
Yeah, 70 this year.
Yeah, 2021. Yeah. Okay. All right. Who else do we have, Master?
Couple more. This one, I know you all recognize the moment she appeared on screen and talked.
Yes.
Her name is Frances Bavier. She's Mrs. Barley, and you know her as Aunt B from the Andy Griffith Show.
That's right.
I'm glad you said that.
The second she comes on screen, you're like, Aunt B!
Yeah, I didn't know she was in the movie, and as soon as I saw her, I was like, hey, it's Aunt B! Honey, come here, it's Aunt B! Yeah,
that was cool.
Now, do you think that she was totally confused as to this kid who she probably
looks like Opie?
Looks like fucking Opie, but it's not Opie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, you have Locke Martin as Gort, the robot. Now, supposedly, this guy was 7'7" tall. He was a doorman at Grauman's Chinese Theater. He had worked in other films as well. And this suit was quite an ordeal, and he could only work in half-hour increments because he was not too well, didn't have a solid constitution, let's say.
So what I read was that despite being 7'7", which, you're not always necessarily thinking like, not everybody's Shaquille O'Neal, they're not 320
Correct.
pounds. He was 7'7" and not very heavy, so he wasn't very strong. He actually could not carry. There's a scene where he has to carry Klaatu, and there's a scene where he has to carry the woman. He couldn't do it unassisted for either one. And he carried one of them, I think, at one point. I think when he carried Klaatu, they filmed the scene where Klaatu gives his speech at the end after that, and Gort is supposed to be standing like in sentry mode, not moving. And I read before I watched the movie that he started having muscle spasms because his arms, he was weak. If you watch that scene in the background, you start to see his arms in certain shots shaking. Like Gort is standing there, but his arms are moving back and forth because the guy's having fucking spasms in the suit. Yeah.
Well, I thought I saw, I don't know if I'm spoiling this, but the part where he's going after the girl and she's like down on the ground, he's going through all the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to pick her up. And when he turns around and picks her up and starts coming back, I actually saw wires.
Yeah, you saw the shadow of the harness that was holding her.
Which was saw it right away.
Yeah, I know. It's obvious.
Hidden. So, 1951. But so I was like, wow. Either she was really heavy or...
Well, it was those pointy boobs. It was...
Yeah, the pointy boobs.
Had to be.
Those pointy boobs. Pointy boobs, well,
those are made of lead.
Yeah, they're actually pointy because they're filed to a lead sharp tip.
Well, I think it was the underwire bra.
Right.
It could be that.
Support them.
It wasn't it wasn't wire, it was like cable.
You got to remember those big old massive 50s
braided
titties.
Cable.
Those big old massive 50s titties. You got to get some kind of like structure that can hold those in. And the only way you could do it is by a lot of cable and then harnessing them into a point.
Kind of like the clogs and the feet.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Manster, do you have some budget information on this thing?
I actually do. I was surprised. Who knows how accurate this stuff is? But for the budget, I got 995,000, and for the box office, 1.85 million.
1.85 sounds about right for that time.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's
I
fun.
actually have top 10 of that year for box office.
Oh, give it to us. What do we got?
And then I'll give you some other that may not be in the top 10, but some other movies you'll know. All right, so top 10, starting at number 10, At War with the Army, 3.3 million. Number 9, A Place in the Sun. Number 8, An American in Paris. Number 7, That's My Boy. Number 6, The African Queen, which was 4.1. So we're going up just a little bit. Number 5, A Streetcar Named Desire, 4.25.
Stella. That's all I know about that movie.
Yeah, right. Number 4, The Great Caruso. That is David Caruso, by the way. At 4.3 million. Number 3, David and Bathsheba. A lot of Bible movies back then, remember. 4.7. Number 2, you probably all have heard of this, Showboat, 5.29 million. And number 1, probably haven't, Quo Vadis at 11 million.
Oh, Quo Vadis? Seriously?
Quo Vadis, yeah.
Number
1 that year.
No clue what the fuck that is.
Did they have a drive-through Quo Vadis?
Quo Vadis, yeah.
It sounds good. I usually get the number 6 with chili on it at Quo Vadis.
And then
I think we hung out at Quo Vadis parking lot one day. When I was.
Yeah, I was in the parking lot that night. All right, so I'm going to give you some other popular movies of that year, like ranked. I checked a whole bunch of different rankings. I'm giving you just sort of my version of the rankings according to all these different websites. And the top of all that was probably The Day the Earth Stood Still. Number 2, moving down, you got African Queen, Strangers on a Train, which is a Hitchcock. Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man that year. Alice in Wonderland, An American in Paris, and Red Badge of Courage. These are all titles that most people have probably heard of.
And 3 months before this came out, another big science fiction film came out, The Thing from Another World.
The Thing from Another World, yeah.
Another World, yeah.
A little further down the list.
Now this,
and
this
if you
movie,
look over my shoulder, you might see the poster of that.
Yeah, I see it right there. And another a little factoid about this film is that it is number 5 on the American Film Institute's top 10 science fiction films, which I might take a little bit of umbrage with. It's over Blade Runner. It's over a couple other things that I think might be a better film. But let's get into.
Can I take a guess at the number 1?
I wish I had it written down. I know number 2 is E.T., which is total bullshit.
Right. Number one has to be 2001.
I believe it was 2001. I believe it was 2001. So Tim, if you had to give us a very succinct plot description of The Day the Earth Stood Still, what would you say? What would you say this movie is essentially about?
Well, as a spaceship lands in Washington, D.C., it's basically he reveals his mission and wants to say his mission to the whole governments of the governments of all the world, explain that if they don't solve their problems and bring peace amongst themselves, they're going to destroy themselves. And he has the answer and tells them that they've created a race of robots that keep them in line and have actually able to decimate and destroy their world in second blast from their visors or whatever.
Was it any aggression? It will immediately stop any acts of aggression.
Came out in a time of not the Cold War, but
the Cold War was started in 46, 47.
Started. Yeah. So it did. And so it had that whole message, live in peace or else.
Post World War II.
Yeah. Oh, and it was the atomic age.
Post Hiroshima.
Well, yeah, and the atomic age is the really big factor in this. It's like
scary fucking times. I'll tell you that.
This other planet notices us because we're using bombs on each other that have the ability in their eyes to, once we get a little bit further ahead,
Right, because we had rocket technology. now.
Right. Okay. So look, they just nuked
Yep.
each other. You know, we bombed Hiroshima. That might have been their first, like, oh, look at these people. And now, oh, they got rocket technology and they could send this out towards us. Now, so Klaatu is the Michael Rennie character. He is the only humanoid alien on this ship. He's chilling out with his homeboy Gort. Gort's the robot. Did either of you, when you found out what their whole idea was, you know, that there's this like kind of like interstellar band of races that have come together and they've created this race of robots to police the universe. Was there
Judge Dredd's?
Not just Judge Dredd's, Green Lantern. It reminded me of Green Lantern just to an ultimate extreme. Like Green Lanterns are going to police your sector and, you know, jail or do whatever they got to do to the bad guys. These guys are saying, you know, they're so harsh. Like you fuck up, I'm destroying you.
Immediate destruction.
Right.
Immediate destruction. Tim, that was one of the things about this movie that I had kind of a hard time with was maybe it's my, I can't even say American sense of, you know, I guess how I should be treated. But like someone walks into your door tomorrow, Tim, and says, I'm your new neighbor. I don't like the way you think you're doing things. Straighten up or I'm going to start like, you know, I'm going to knock your house down. Did you feel that as harsh as I did that's because Klaatu comes across as such a benevolent, peaceful guy. You know, he spends time with us. He spends time with a human kid.
Right.
And now he's going to destroy the earth if you don't straighten up. How did that hit you?
First thing he says when he comes out of the spaceship when he first lands is that we come in peace. Right?
Yeah. Peace and goodwill, yeah.
And then it turns into if you don't shape up, we'll leave you with peace heads. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It borderlined on bully. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
But it was just weird. He was a good guy. It almost seemed like he was a good guy, and well, maybe it was. He was the good guy, and the robot was the bad guy. And so it's almost like the robot was almost. It almost seemed, and I'm just thinking of this now, is the robot was like assigned to him, kind of thing, because it almost seemed like I said, he was the good guy, but then he had the robot with him to kind of keep him in line. But somehow he was able to control the robot as well. So it was a little confusing to me, but it almost seemed like, you know, like he said, they had this race of robots that were created, okay, to basically keep them in line. So it seemed to me like that. I've seen the movie 3 times now. It seemed to me that robot was assigned to him.
Yeah.
But I would agree.
In a sense, was almost dedicated to him because of, you know, protected him and actually brought him back to life and that type of thing. So,
well, you can actually see like the progression of the aggression, actually, because when he first comes out, you know, the spaceship lands, he finally walks out and he has a message. He gets shot, and then Gort comes out, and Gort just starts disintegrating the weapons.
yeah,
Right. There's the army is there, soldiers holding rifles. There's tanks. There's all kinds of ammunition and stuff. And he just starts neutralizing just the weapons. All right. And that's how it starts. And then you've got Klaatu going. He's like, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. You never know what he wants to tell anybody because he won't tell just one person.
Yeah.
But then later in the movie, when they come to get, I guess he's already been shot. Klaatu's already been shot later. And then Gort senses that the soldiers are moving in on him. He neutralizes the soldier and the gun, like those two guys.
Right.
So now he's moved from just neutralizing the guns to also the people.
Well, I think
that's when you know, all right, they're stepping it up now because they're getting more aggressive.
Well, he senses the aggression, I think. You know, whatever's a threat. So as soon as, you know, when Klaatu first comes off the ship and he's got that little party favor that he wants to give.
Which is all pointy.
It looked like a broken whisk. It looked like an egg whisk that had been cut and then pointed outwards.
Yeah. I want to know on whose authority did that soldier shoot?
Yeah. Say, oh, look, he's from outer space, pampered chef, you know.
And it also looked like he actually shot the item. But then all of a sudden, Klaatu's, you know, got a bullet through his arm.
Yeah.
He only fired one shot, but anyway.
I mean, it was cool that the Gort was taking out tanks and big rifles and stuff, but he wasn't attacking the humans.
Yeah.
He shot, like you said, he shot the rifles, but not the humans. But later on in the movie, he starts taking out people.
Yeah, well, that's the point where all right, they are stepping it up. Yeah. This is not just a totally peaceful mission.
The only good news about if Gort was going to attack you is that he takes as long as like a Civil War rifle to reload, because his fucking visor has to come up at about a half a centimeter a second, and then the visor finally comes up, and then his Knight Rider Cylon emblem lights up. It. And then so now that by the time it's energized enough, you're already 4 fucking states away, and he can't get to you anymore.
Right. But people in 1951 weren't that smart.
I kept thinking of Cyclops from the X-Men with this guy. I
did too. Yeah, I did too. And there was a point later in the movie where Klaatu, kind of after he's progressing and getting a little bit more personal with Miss Benson, where he does tell her, or he's talking to maybe the professor, that like, we will not tolerate your weapons anymore. So like, you see the progression of where they're going with this, but like, you guys are both right. The levels of aggression get heavier. And like Tim said, it seems like Gort was assigned to Klaatu. But the other thing is when Klaatu at the end, we're jumping around a little bit, but when Klaatu gets fatally shot at the end, when he's dying, he makes it a point to, before he gets killed, to kind of tell the woman that like, if anything happens, you got to go see Gort. Almost like Gort, like that's a failsafe. Like if Klaatu gets killed, like I'm going to fucking destroy everything here.
Right. But that was not the message.
No, that was not the message. But what I'm saying is that it was like he knew that if I die,
he's gonna
go off. He's gonna go off. It's almost like it's almost like he's a dead man's trigger. Like Klaatu is the dead man's trigger. He dies, Gort goes fucking ballistic.
Which I think, to me anyway, you can interpret it differently. To me, it means that Klaatu actually saw that the Earth was redeemable and worth saving, because I think that's what the message was,
right?
Do not destroy these people. Come get me, revive me, and don't destroy them.
I do want to bring up something that you brought up a few minutes ago. I just thought this was interesting. You brought up the military weaponry. I don't know if you know this or not, Tim. The U.S. Army would not supply the weaponry or the equipment to film this movie.
No. That's not right.
No,
that's not what I read.
The U.S. Army would not.
Fort Meade. A
local National Guard did. So the U.S. Army as a whole said, we're not going to supply, what company was this? Paramount? I don't know what company this was, but we're not going to supply you with this stuff. But Fort Meade, which was local to where they were filming, said, if you won't do it, we'll do it. So all the Jeeps you see in the movie, all the weaponry you see in the movie, that's actual military weaponry.
That was 20th Century Fox.
That was one of their filming locations.
Yeah, they filmed half of it in L.A., and then they filmed a lot of it on locale at the at Fort Meade and in Washington. Now he lands, right? Klaatu lands, he gets shot, he ends up in the Army hospital, and I want to ask you about this, Tim, because I found this kind of bizarre. So picture today. Picture like a ship lands, and okay, we're past the shock and awe of it all. We understand, okay, there's a ship here. And let's just say that ship deploys a single giant metal robot to guard it as a sentry. And we don't know, we know nothing about this robot. We don't know if it has space aids. We don't know if it could shoot lasers out of its asshole, but we know that it's probably dangerous. Did you feel like, I don't know, I feel like in 2021, maybe because we've been through a lot, there'd be a lot of wide berth, but like people, like the Army's just driving Jeeps up and like unloading like wood next to the robot. Did you feel it was kind of weird how comfortable they felt around what could have been very possibly, to none of their knowledge, like a nuclear weapon?
Right, because when they first got there, they were afraid of this thing. Like they're all backed up. They're getting all the, people out of the way. Everybody's screaming and stuff. And later on, it's like they're having a party with this thing. They're taking samples off it.
Yeah.
They're doing, surprised
I thought that was
like a little campfire next to them and have a little sing along.
They're singing Kumbaya.
It just it never
roasting some hot dogs.
It never felt like you ever heard like any of the soldiers go, "I ain't getting near that thing." It was just like they're just right near it. Like I was waiting for like there to be like a montage where they're having like a cookout there, and like someone puts a chef's hat on Gort, and they're all like laughing, and you know what I mean?
That would have been too much.
It would have been a bit much, but
that would have been.
You got the guy with the blowtorch sitting there going, you can't scratch this thing, and I think he said they tried it on the freaking robot.
Yeah, they did.
They did something to the robot, like, I don't know what, but I was expecting.
What did you think of the spaceship design?
I thought the spaceship design was really cool.
Yeah, very minimalist.
Yeah,
and the big budget probably went into the way it opened and the ramp came out.
Yeah, and then the no seam, closing and the ramp.
Did you read how they did that?
Do you know? I did look at some of the stuff, and saw some blueprints.
So obviously, it did have a door and a ramp.
Yeah,
they built it. They puttied it with a Bondo putty, painted over it so you could not see the seams.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did do the effect of it opening, the putty just tore away, but you didn't see that on screen. And then when they would shut it again, they'd go back to using prior, or putting it again. But it was always looked like it was shut. It was very cool for 19.
It was very good.
Yeah.
You know who was involved in the design of that?
No.
Leonard Nimoy. I don't know who.
Leonard Nimoy, good answer. No, architect Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Something else I noticed about this movie, I want to know if you guys noticed the same thing. The director, Robert Wise, or screenwriters, whoever, I guess came up with the filming progression, maybe if there were storyboards, they spend a lot of time in this movie on establishing shots. So like when the ship is first coming to Earth in the very beginning of the movie, they want you to understand that it is like going across the Earth. So they show a shot in Italy, and then they go to France, and then they go to Spain, and then they go to Morocco, and then they go to Russia. Like in today's day and age, you would be able to show 2 or 3 of those and you would get the idea. Hey, look, in this movie, there's 29 scenes of different, radio
announcers.
Yeah.
Those were all radio guys as far as what I can understand too.
Yes.
Those were all true radio guys.
But they had to have hello, this is BBC radio. They had to, we get it. The scene that got me even more than that was the scene when Klaatu is going to prove that he's going to do something to prove to the scientists that he could destroy the Earth or that their power is maximum. So he tells Barnhart, in a day and a half, I'm going to do something at noon, and you're going to go, uh-oh. And what he does is his ship or his power, whatever it is, neutralizes all the electricity on Earth. But then there is 8 minutes of straight scenes of different places, realizing they have no fucking power.
All the different ways where there's no electricity.
Right. So
I was dying at the cows.
The udders. Yeah, they were milking them.
Couldn't get it. Oh my God, I was dying with that. And then it just there's always a dial to turn or a switch to throw or something like that. What the fuck,
Well, the thing I thought was they had the one scene, I think that's supposed to be in Washington D.C., where it's the cop on the motorcycle, and he keeps trying to start it and it will not start. Here's my thought process, right? If you're on your motorcycle and it suddenly shuts off or won't turn over, okay, you want to get it fixed. But the second you look around and realize that 50 other cars are immobilized, stop fucking kicking your kickstand, your accelerator. Stop trying to turn it over, because guess what? This is happening to fucking everybody, not just you, dummy. But I kind of loved. I mean, and it's old school movie making. I understand, but I kind of liked the fact that they had to show 30 different scenes of
that was funny.
The cow milker's not working, and then at the end when Klaatu is giving his big speech, they had to show you the Chinese delegates of scientists listening to him, and then the Africans, and then the Latin people, and whoever else, and they're going. Right. It's we get it. Everybody the fuck is here. We get it.
They're all there. All the greatest minds of science are there.
Yes,
men and women.
Well, the part with them losing the, I know it's skipping around, but it's the part with, all the electricity shut off, and Dr. Barnhart's in his office. And is that his secretary, that lady?
Holy fuck.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I don't know what her problem, what her deal was, but he says, let me ask you something. Does this scare you? Or something like that to her. And she's like, I just wanted to say, well, fuck yes.
Of course it does.
Horrified. What are we gonna do? You know?
Well, and there was like 3 straight scenes of that woman asking people if they were frightened. You know, it's like, we get it. You're a scared person. We get it. But calm the fuck down.
But Barnhart wasn't.
No, Barnhart thought it was amazing. He had a heart on.
He knew what was going on.
He actually
he had the pipe and everything. He's just sitting back, watching everything going on.
Well, he straight said to not his secretary, but another woman, I think maybe his coffee secretary. Back in the 50s, they had multiple secretaries for different things.
Right.
But remember, he said to her, he goes, does this scare you? And she said, yes. And he goes, good, it should.
Yep.
Right.
Because the way he looks at it is that if this guy can do this, then maybe he can come out and straight up say, if you don't stop fighting, look what I just did. That was minor. That was literally like I was half asleep when I did that shit.
Except for airplanes in the sky and hospitals.
But you know what? I appreciated that line.
Yeah, right. That was
because they didn't want to make him look like a murderer.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So no planes are dropping out of the sky. No hospitals are getting their electricity shut off. The fisherman in the boat, of course, is still pulling his having rude. It won't go.
You could stop all the electricity in the world for 30 minutes and fuck up his blackboard.
Right.
Yeah.
Arthur Barnhart's blackboard. And so.
Well, what, Tim, did you notice like what I kind of liked? Okay, so Klaatu, he's in the hospital. He escapes from the hospital because he wants to kind of get out there and kind of be amongst the people. This is kind of his mission, is to kind of see if the Earth people are worth hanging with. He meets Mrs. Benson. He meets Ronnie Howard Jr. They start to form this really weird relationship that shouldn't exist, but it does. He stays in like a kind of like a boarding house, I guess is how you would put it.
Yeah, you see a sign with room available. Room available.
Now, I don't know how far you want to get into how they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Paralleling stuff, but so let's get right into Jesus. This is a guy who is visiting the people to spread the word of a certain thing, very much like Jesus when he went to tell everybody about his father. And, we know how that story ended. But did you notice what name he took, which I felt like they were really hammering it home?
Listen, I've got a whole lot of these parallels if you want me to go through them all.
Go through the parallels, because off the bat, he takes the name Carpenter. Jesus is a carpenter. You know what I mean?
So let me do a little production note that I have.
Well, I thought Karen Carpenter, but go ahead.
John Carpenter too.
Yep.
Thought maybe We've Only Just Begun might start playing in the movie.
KC.
So here's all the parallels between the Jesus Christ allegory, metaphor, or whatever you want to call it. So the screenwriter Edmund North, he was putting this comparison of Klaatu to Jesus Christ in there, and he was hoping it was subliminal.
Yeah.
All right. That was his goal. Well, not quite subliminal. It was subtle enough that not everybody realized that that's what it was, including the director. According to Robert Wise, he did not know that it was a Christ allegory. So here are some of the things that you can pull away from this. So he comes to Earth with a message for all mankind. He calls himself Carpenter, and Jesus Christ was a carpenter by trade. His actions of peace and stuff are misunderstood, and he is killed by military authority. At the end of the film, he rises from the dead. He befriends a child, and Jesus was, like to gather children and teach them. And he performs a miracle to get people to believe his message. In this case, the miracle of the electricity. So those are all these little things that pull this stuff together, that this is a Jesus Christ figure.
And in 1951, like you said before, a lot of biblical movies were big back then because they were straight out saying they were biblical movies. But in 1951, it was not considered okay or cool to kind of like to bury the Jesus story into a science fiction plot.
Right. And the executives actually balked at that. And because they wanted, when Klaatu is revived by Gort, they wanted that. They said, no, we can't, we see what you're doing here. This can't be that. So that's when they rewrote that as, well, it's a temporary thing. Only the Almighty Spirit has complete power. This is temporary. We don't know how long it'll last.
Robert Wise hated that line.
Yeah.
The Edmund North hated that line. So yeah, Tim, at the end of the movie, when they bring him back and she asks him, you were revived, you have the power of resurrection.
Yeah.
He says the line of, that power is reserved for the Almighty Spirit. And that was forced on them by what was at the time called the Breen office, which was kind of like they were the almost like the movie censorship board. And they said that ideal of him rising from the dead was too left wing. So yeah, so they forced that in there because it's really ridiculous if you think about it. Why the fuck would this alien be talking about the Almighty Spirit? Now, I don't want to get into the idea that Jesus or God might not exist beyond Earth's plane, but it just seems so forced in, and it is forced in, and apparently everybody in the production of the movie hated that they put that in there.
Well, I took it as they too, even though they're aliens, they believe in a higher power, a higher spirit. That's the way I took it.
And they very well may.
Yeah.
But it's never ever brought up prior. They're very much like, almost like you get the idea that they're saying, we're our police, you know what I mean? We have this band. And then all of a sudden they introduce this. It does feel forced in.
Right.
Well,
it does.
One parallel that I just thought of, he befriends the kid and vice versa. They become a, friendship in that. And when they quote unquote escape in the cab, right? And then they show all the police cars pulling into where he was staying, and the kid and his friend were outside. And what does the kid do? He throws him under the bus and says, he went that way. He made me think of Judas.
See,
betraying.
The first time I saw it, I thought that was Bobby. But I think after multiple viewings, I didn't think that was Bobby anymore. I thought that was just a random kid on the street.
Yeah, I think that was just a street kid.
I think that was a street kid.
Because I thought it was him because they were right outside playing ball. I swear to God, I thought that was him.
I did too. I did too, but on subsequent viewings, I changed my thought.
You got to remember. You got to remember something, Tim, right? In 1951, all white kids look like that.
Yeah.
And when they weren't inside playing with their under the bed train sets, they were outside playing ball against the door. So it's not your fault, Tim.
Right. So you can't tell between a red sweater and a blue sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids play out at night, I guess, back in 1951. So
just be in before the streetlights shut off. That's all. Hey, honestly, I'm gonna let you hang out with a stranger all weekend. Stay out till fucking 3 a.m. Do some heroin. Live a little bit. You know what I mean? I want you to live a little bit.
Go provoke a giant 8-foot robot.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I guess in the end, the whole idea of this movie is where I get puzzled from. I guess what they're trying to say to us. So they're trying to say to us essentially, Tim. Right? They're saying war is bad.
Yep.
This super race of aliens and robots have gotten together. They're like Parliament Funkadelic in space. They've gotten together. They're jamming. They're coming up with great ideas. They want to keep the peace at any cost. But when does it become not peaceful when you're keeping the peace by destroying planets that might annoy you a little bit? I don't know. In the end, I kind of have a problem with the. I guess you're supposed to almost feel like I get what they're saying here, but at the same time, and you're almost supposed to feel like Klaatu is the good guy in this movie. He's coming to save us, but he's not coming to save us. Like you said earlier, he's coming to save us under duress of, I'll kill you all.
Right. And it's a kind of a double standard almost. Yeah. I mean, the guy actually gets shot twice in this movie.
Right.
And survives both of them. The first one, he heals himself with a lip balm? Like
a little salve or something.
Yeah, get the chapstick out and kind of, And the doctor wants to quit.
Right. He wants to go get drunk and quit medicine.
Yeah. I love how they smoke in hospitals, by the way.
Yeah, right? Did you notice all the smoking?
And then he gets shot again, and now he dies. And yeah.
So let's talk about when they're in the taxi cab and they're on their way to see Dr. Barnhart, I believe, at that point, right?
Yeah, well, they're trying to get right to the gathering.
To the gathering.
Right.
And Klaatu knows, he's hip. He knows what's going on. He sees these signs. He knows the military is after him. And he gets out. But before he gets out, he tells Helen, hey, if I don't make it, you got to get yourself to Gort and tell him these 3 words.
Hell yeah.
Klaatu, Barada, Nikto.
Right.
Anybody who's a fan of, say, I don't know, campy horror films knows these 3 words with a very slight variation.
These are the
from
3 words.
Army of Darkness.
These are the 3 words in Army of Darkness that
Bruce Campbell.
Ash could not remember and fucked himself over with very badly. Yeah. Yeah.
And when I heard that in the taxi cab, I have seen this movie before. This is not my first time seeing it. When I saw that, it just came to me like, oh my God, that's where it comes from. It was like a mind-blowing experience that came from this film.
See, I was just glad because I've always known from being an Army of Darkness fan that was from The Day the Earth Stood Still, but I had never seen it before. So I was looking forward to how it was going to pop up. I didn't know. And then when they said his name was Klaatu, I'm like, okay, well, there's part 1. But then they said his name is Gort. So I'm like, what is Barado Nikto? And then you find out. But here's the great thing, right? It's nobody. The screenwriter, nobody knows what it actually means.
Right. It was not written with any particular intent.
So when something like that is presented to us, that's when I think we should fill in the blanks. So Tim, what do you, in all honesty, think Klaatu Nikto, or Klaatu was Barada Nikto?
Barada Nikto.
What do you think that meant?
I think it was a command. It's almost like you know what I actually pinned this on, or reminded me of, is when in Winter Soldier, when the Baron Zemo, or Nemo, whatever his name was saying those words. Remember, to Winter Soldier, and it was whatever. It was like programming. So that's what that reminded me to. So I think it was words that would program him or deprogram or some kind of a.
But what do you think he was telling him? What do you think in your heart of hearts? Because I'm going to ask you 2 questions after we go through this. I'm going to ask you another one because there's 2 things that I want to have answered from you guys that was left open in the movie. So what do you think he was telling him?
So I think it was. So he told Helen to say this to him. So it was actually, I think it was her. I'll put it together in a second. It was a message that he wanted to give to him through her, to say, "Come." I think it was, "Come get me." I think it was, "I'm in trouble. I'm dead." That's what it was. It's, "I'm dead. You need to come get me." I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
Well,
he brought the girl. He picked her up with the cables and brought her into the spaceship, left her there, and then went off at a snail's pace.
Yeah, well,
to go. That killed me. I even said to my wife, it'll be another 3 days before he finds Klaatu. But he finds Klaatu, knocks down, blasts, disintegrates the wall, and grabs Klaatu's body and brings him back. So I think that's what that was. I think that was his command words to say, "I'm in trouble. I've been killed. Come get me, no matter what." I think that's what it was.
All right, Manster, do you agree? What do you think?
All right, I'm right there with Tim. I think I'm going to bring it one more step beyond that. So I think it's like, I have died. Come repair me. Do not retaliate.
Okay. All right. Because he knows that Gort is essentially upping, like we talked about. Gort is essentially on DEFCON levels, and he knows
he's at DEFCON 5.
He's at 5. Once Klaatu dies,
he needs to drop back down to DEFCON 2.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to agree with both you guys. I think, especially with Klaatu being in the actual command, it either is, Klaatu says, don't hurt these people, bring me back, and we're going to sort this out. That's right. What I think. Now, at the end of the movie, he has his moment where he gets up on the stage and he essentially reiterates to everybody again, look, you guys, you got atomic power, you got rockets, we're worried about you, right?
Yeah.
And that's when he explains the whole idea behind there's a trillion of these ships with robots just like Gort. This motherfucker could fuck your whole planet up, and we got thousands of these motherfuckers.
Right.
So essentially, I kind of like you people, right? Me and Richie Cunningham hung out for the weekend. We're cool. I might come back and bang on his mom a little bit. I don't know. Hey, look,
got the high cheekbones. Look, I know she likes that.
I got good cheekbones. I'm always in a suit, and let's be honest, it might not look like yours, but I got a dick too. So, he's basically telling him he's going to come back, right? So essentially he leaves with a warning, right? Now this is 1951, right? Let us assume, because this is operating in real world, right? World War II has happened. They made it a point to show you the perils of war with Mrs. Benson's husband being killed. He was a soldier killed in war. So let's just say the movie is taking place in our reality. We all know, now granted, we never got visited by a spaceship.
Yeah.
What do you guys think happens? Do you think, I'll start with Lloyd, then I'll go to Tim. Do you think that the world banded together and said, we're not going to let this shit take us down because these motherfuckers are going to fry us? Or do you think that humans are humans and we just cannot fucking do it? And because really the end of this movie could be very sad, because it ends, Klaatu takes off in his ship. Gort is is rolling in a 6-4 and they're gone, and it ends with the end. But essentially the end of this movie could be 6 months later, them doing a fucking U-turn, turning on the Death Star beam. Right.
Yeah. I think this is for me anyway, this is an easy answer. Humans are humans and we're going to fuck up. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is anchored in reality. It's sci-fi, there's spaceships, there's robots. It's anchored in reality, and that's the message it's trying to tell us, that and humans are humans. Human nature is the same in 1951 as it was in 1251 as it was in 2021.
Right. I'm going to go real quick and say, I hate to say it, but I agree with you. My idea is that if there was a mid-credit scene in this, it would be 6 months later. It would be Klaatu going, waking up from cryo sleep, going, Gort, what's up? He's in his underwear. He's scratching his dick. And he's like, Gort, what's happening, bro? He's like, bring up the Earth file. And Gort fucking, his thing raises up and he brings up the Earth file. Klaatu reads it and goes, fucking arm the nuclear weapons, arm the fucking, arm the Synagron torpedo 5000s. So Tim, are you a better person than me and Lloyd? Or do you think that this movie actually will end? If there was a day the Earth stood still, it would be 2 minutes long because it would just be them blowing the fuck out of Earth.
Right. Well, first of all, he said that we'll be waiting for your answer. And then they take off.
Which is kind of weird. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think
how are they going to get their answer?
Yeah.
I think the answer was, that was metaphorical.
Your actions.
Right. Yeah. Your answer is going to be, if we take off and 3 months from now, we see Russia shoot something at America or, strife in the Middle East or something, we're turning this bitch around and we're blowing you out of the sky.
Right. We see another Hiroshima, you're done.
Right.
I see another parallel too. If he's taking off, it's almost like Jesus going to heaven and now we're waiting on his return.
Second coming. Yeah.
Second coming. So that's deep.
Totally. That's totally right.
That's very deep. Actually, that's almost like, what do they call that, Lloyd? The what is it? Like when
you talk about the rapture?
The rapture. Yeah. It's almost like waiting on the rapture. The rapture being right with what some believers believe, God is going to take his vengeance on earth and take certain people. Come back
and take all his believers off the earth.
Did Klaatu mention that there was a time when they were fighting amongst themselves and then they created this race of robots? Didn't he say that they created the robots to keep themselves in line or something like that?
Yeah, there was some conversation with Dr. Barnhart about that. I don't remember exactly what he said.
In the original story, from what I was reading, Gort is actually in charge in the actual like written story.
Okay.
Gort is the one who's like the power, and Klaatu is just kind of like his mouthpiece. Kind of like how Tim said that Gort is assigned to Klaatu. You got to kind of wonder, like, what is Klaatu going to do to stop this motherfucker if Gort decides he wants to start neutralizing people?
Mhm.
So maybe in the end, we learned from Battlestar Galactica that making your own race of robots isn't always the best idea. There's a lot of ways this could go in the end. There's a lot of ways this can go. The robots can come back 6 months from now and go, you know what? We destroyed all the fucking humanoids. They sucked just as much as you do, and we're going to take care of you. I just think that's interesting. I think that it leaves you on a pretty good question at the end. Like, what is going to happen here?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, how did they get all these people together from all over the world? Because remember when the Secretary of State said...
Are you talking about the scientists?
Is that what they were? Or were they from all over the world?
The secretary to the president, Secretary of State, he's like, yeah, world leaders, we're not going to get together, There's so many distances and things to overcome. He's like, yeah,
Right.
Well, I just came 250 million miles, bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, then he goes to Dr. Barnhart and he's like, oh, yeah, we already got the best minds of science. They're coming here. They'll be here, tomorrow. You want us to go to the spaceship? We'll go there. They're already here. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, I think it was a message to all. He wanted to give the message once.
Right.
That was thing. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell anybody. I want to get this message once.
One time. Because that game where you tell somebody something and they tell somebody something and
Right.
they tell somebody something, it's completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, that was his thing. And then another parallel, I guess I'm Catholic. I guess another parallel is his speech at the end, telling everybody, the way they should treat each other or something like that. The
Mhm.
Sermon on the Mount.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit. But
yeah. No,
anyway.
it's total parallel. It's complete allegory.
Oh, this whole movie. I mean, whole movie it's two things. It's war is bad, and let's sneak some Christian allegories into this thing for sure. I guess one of the other most important questions of this, and we kind of brought it up earlier, but I want to piggyback on a question I brought up earlier. If you're going to be stuck in an elevator with Miss Benson for a half an hour in the dark, do you make a move? Lloyd, do you make a move?
Wow. For half an hour.
Half an hour. Like, essentially, if I was Klaatu, this is what I would tell her. Look, lady, I might be destroying your planet in a couple days. Your boyfriend's a real dick. You might not get anytime soon. We got a half hour. All right.
I'd probably try to make some moves, not very aggressive, but just see where it goes and how receptive she is.
All right. Tim,
Yeah.
Tim, do you feel that would be the way to go?
Well, if I had a half an hour, 30 sequends could go by, and that'd be it for me.
Yeah, you got to wait a
So-
little longer.
Let's try and press some buttons over here. But, I mean, it was getting kind of intense in there anyways. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
why
And you
not? Let's see if we can reshape this underwire bra.
I was gonna say you gotta factor in 14 minutes to get her bra off, because there's probably hydraulic clasps that have to be like unhooked from like steam. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't try and take it off and try and pick the lock or try and get the door open with it, twist it up a little bit. And jeez.
I have to say, there's something we didn't talk about at all yet about this movie that I found really terrific, which was the music. Bernard Herrmann, it was the composer for this. His choice of instrumentation was just totally not like classic symphony orchestration, which was popular at that time. It was, unusual instruments. He was a minimalist. He had two, this is before they were even popular, two theremins.
Yeah.
If you know anything about playing a theremin, it's really amazing. You've got all these tubes in there, and you've got coils, and you got electromagnetic fields, and you have two antennae, one vertical on the top of it, and one coming out the side that's sort of like a loop. And you shake your hand. It's all gesture related. That's how you play this thing. You don't touch the instrument at all. You just make gestures with your hand in and out, up and down.
And Jimmy Page.
Yeah, close to the antenna, far away. It changes the pitch and the volume. One is for pitch, one is for volume. And you get anybody who hears a theremin knows that what that music is. They may not know what a theremin is, but they know what it is when they hear it.
The flaming lips use a lot of theremin. And
Right.
when I saw them live, they use a theremin, and it's so weird to watch someone play it because they look like they're casting spells.
Yeah, they're literally like their hands are shaking, going up and down, in and out, and the other hand is going like this. It's almost like they're caressing things. It's really cool, and it gives you this classic spaceship sound. That is the sound of a spaceship in Aliens. You know, when you hear that, it's like sort of menacing, and then it also sounds. You can make it sound just like a female voice. It sounds like a woman singing. It's really amazing. So he had two theremins, one high-pitched, one low-pitched, multiple organs, Wurlitzer organs, vibraphones, glockenspiels, electric, like bass drums. It was amazing the way this guy made this music. And it's so, I don't know, the way it intertwines, you know, the movie is shot pretty simplistically, I guess. You know, there's nothing really elaborate in it. There's a lot of use of shadow and light. For instance, when he comes in, remember when he comes into the room and he's completely in shadow, and then they turn the light on and they see him. They're like, "Oh!" Can I
say? I think it was hilarious about that is that they're watching this news broadcast about a escaped alien, and then like he's on the loose, he's in this like 3-block radius, and then you got this fucking dude standing in the doorway obstructed in shadow, and not one of like the 7 people go, could that have been the fucking guy? They're just like, hi, would you like a steak dinner?
Yeah, it was great. So I just want to say that the music in this thing is beautiful, and it just fits with the film so perfectly, and it's not like anything else. I think that, like I said before, this was a use of theremins before theremins were popular.
Danny Elfman, famed composer,
that's right,
said that this score is what was the impetus for him to start doing movie scores. This was like the thing from when he was a kid that made him want to score movies. So
Danny Elfman, and he's so famous. Got so much great stuff.
Can I point out 2 things that just came to mind?
No, Tim, you cannot. No, Tim. Never. Yes, great. Tim.
And so, did you know that James Dean was in this movie?
No.
Yeah, my wife figured it out. I guess he was one of the soldiers. Like really quick, and I couldn't find him. I don't know where she got that information from. I'm looking at the DVD cover right now, but he definitely was in this movie. Just like really quick. I'm gonna verify it, but I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he's the soldier that shot Klaatu.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim, if it's not James Dean, we have a little segment we do on the show sometimes called Bullshit Facts. That could be a Tim bullshit fact if it's not true. But if it is true, hey, interesting.
Oh, here it is. Here, can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is something that I found just now. Dean was a soldier in the film. Okay. He had a full speaking part, but it was cut because the director, Robert Weiss, felt it was quite bad and that it threw the scene off. So Wise alluded that he only got the role because he knew someone who was close to Wise who vouched for his acting abilities. So after filming the scene and seeing it in the dailies, Wise said he would rather take the risk of pissing off his friend than keep his terrible scene in the film.
Wow. Well, hey, you know what?
I don't know. I'm just trying to see. So maybe he was in it or maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
Sounds like he was in it, but got cut on the cutting room floor.
Oh, and I just really wanted someone when Klaatu said his name at first, Klaatu, God bless you.
Gesundheit. All right. So Tim, the way we finish these episodes off is that we like to rate things on a scale of 1 to 5. Well, 0 is optional as well if you really hated this thing. Quarter scale and half scale is usable. But before we rate this, why don't you tell everybody out there in Pine of Comics land where they can find you on social media, if they want to check out Sour Grapes, if they want to pick up Sour Grapes, where do they do all that stuff?
Instagram, I'm Sour Grapes 2017. Twitter, I'm at Sour Grapes Comic. My website is sourgrapescomic.com. You can find me on Facebook as well. On the website, there's a list of all the newspapers that Sour Grapes runs in. So if you go on my website, again, sourgrapescomic.com, you might find a newspaper that is near you that you can read Sour Grapes. But
Yeah.
Sour Grapes is posted online in social media every week, and hopefully someone laughs at it. That's basically where you can find me. On the website also, there's books on there. I have an Etsy store, so if you like to go in there and get a compilation, there's quite a few, and coloring books for your kids are in there too, so you can go in there and buy books. Help me put food on my table.
Do it.
Keep Tim in beans and chicken and whatever else he likes to eat. So we're gonna go to Tim last because he's the guest. Let's start. I'm gonna start. I don't always start.
Ooh.
So never saw this before. Obviously, I'm aware of it. Aware that it's AFI's top 10 science fiction movies of all time.
Would you say number 5?
5. It was number 5 on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed this. It's typical of a 50s movie, hour and a half long. You kind of get in and out really quickly. I like the allegory. I don't know. Well, I don't know so much like the Christ allegories as much as I like the idea behind the brutality of what this movie's really saying. Hi, welcome to Earth. Hi, we come in peace. Except if
you can't have peace without the threat of war.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we're essentially saying, I know we've already brought this up, but we're saying we've got the weaponry that we don't want you to have. And so if you ever decide to use it in a way we don't like, we don't want that to happen. So we might preemptively use what we're not allowing you to have against you. Hi, we're a bunch of hypocrite bullies and we'll be back to destroy your planet. I think that's a brave choice because I bet you a lot of people back in 1951 didn't see it that way. They probably thought, oh, he saved Earth. He saved Earth through coercion. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the mafia. It's like you could run your store here, but I'm going to be by once or twice a week. And there better be an envelope full of cash so that your store doesn't burn down overnight. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I did like the idea behind the story. I think it was well acted. I think it was told pretty well. The Christ allegory stuff, I think it's cool that they kind of subversively tried to jam that shit in there. Whether or not I really subscribe to any of that is another thing, but I think it was brave for that time, especially in a time when people are being, called out for being communists and all these like ideas are very radical to kind of do that. In the end, I think I didn't walk away going, I was blown away by it, but I'm glad that Tim picked it and brought it because I do feel like it's a movie well worth watching. I kind of got a lot of feedback on Twitter. I think the day I watched it, I kind of posted something on Instagram or Twitter, and I got a lot of feedback from people being like, this is like my dad's generation Star Wars, and this is so fantastic. And I didn't see that. Again, this is a 70-year-old movie, so maybe it's just a little bit different for me. I give it a solid 3. I give this a 3. I enjoyed it. I think it was well made. I think the idea behind it was cool. But beyond that, it didn't really this isn't something I'm going to rush out and buy the Blu-ray with like a 7-hour documentary on it. It's just not my
All
thing.
right. You're allowed your opinion.
Yeah. and for it to be one grade above Blade Runner on that list is fucking complete bullshit. But anyways, Lloyd,
it was one above Blade Runner.
It was one above Blade Runner.
Was 6.
While you talk, I'm gonna look that list up and I'll read that off real quick.
Blade Runner. Blade Runner, in my opinion, is really good sci-fi. Maybe a little bit more boring than this movie. All right, so my rating for this movie. This movie has atmosphere. Great use of light and shadow. Lots of great framing shots. It's got likable characters. Some of them anyway. Some are real douches, but generally likable characters. It's got good dialogues. It's got some really good quotes. We didn't even talk about any of the pretty good quotes from Klaatu. There's one when they're standing around. He's pretending to be human, and he's standing around, and a reporter comes by, and he talks to him. He goes, "Well, I'm fearful when I see people substituting fear for reason." And the reporter's like, "Okay, thanks a lot. I'll move on now."
Yeah.
He has some pretty good lines. "I'm impatient with stupidity. My people have learned to live without it."
That was a good line. That was a good line. There was another line. There was another line that Barnhard, I don't remember. I'll paraphrase it, but he made a mention of what they could do to the Earth, and Barnhard said something like along the lines of like, "You have that technology," and he was like, "We very much have that technology."
Yeah, believe it. We have it.
Like, but the way he said it was very like menacing without being menacing. It was very straightforward.
Yep.
Like, yes, we have that technology.
So it had all that. It had good dialogue, like I said, intrigue and mystery, right? It's a good science fiction story. It's anchored in reality. There's not any crazy monsters, and other than the alien aspect of it, I think it's pretty good as far as reality. It delivers a socially viable, valuable, and honest story, about human nature, which is still accurate to this day. It's human nature, and the simplicity of the story and the crazy kind of like unique music all comes together, and it's really good. And I really like this movie, and I watched it a couple of times, since we had to watch it, and I enjoyed it each time. And I give this a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Flying saucers.
Wow.
4 out
All
of
right.
5.
Now, before we get to Tim, real quick, I'm going to read off quickly the AFI top 10 of science fiction. Number 10, Back to the Future. Number 9, the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Number 8, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Number 7, this isn't even over it, Alien. Number 6, also directed by Ridley Scott, Blade Runner. Number 5, an alien dignitary comes to Earth to learn why humans can't stop warnings amongst each other. Can't stop, it says warnings, but I think war amongst each other. Number 5, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Number 4, A Clockwork Orange. Number 3, E.T. the Extra Testicle. Number 2,
Fuck that movie.
Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And number 1, as Lloyd mentioned earlier, 2001, A Space Odyssey, which does deserve to be pretty high up there. All right, Tim, scale of 0 to 5, what do you give The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Well, I'll say my number first. I give it 4.5 out of 5. And you gotta remember, 1951. I can only imagine, because of the technology back then, because the space race, I think Sputnik just kind of was popular back then, or just happened. I don't know what year it happened, but idea of flying saucers and that, and I can just imagine the audience in this theater when they saw this for the first time. That was, I think it was state of the art film technology back then.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? The beginning with the big glowing disc that they did for the spaceship, the way the spaceship happened, and all the controls inside the ship, how they just wave their hands in front, randomly in front of the lights and stuff, and all this, whatever. Just the whole thing, how it was so literally out of this world kind of thing. Just the whole aura of it, like Lloyd said, the music of it was probably all new to everybody, and how realistic, and how maybe they thought that this could possibly happen. A visitor from another planet and flying saucers. This was all new to them.
Area 51.
Visitors from Mars, that type of stuff. I think somebody even said, or it was one of the headlines that they showed in the newspaper, a visitor from Mars, or spaceship from Mars, or whatever. I thought I saw that. But that whole nostalgia thing back then, I think was really like a modern type of thing that nobody had seen before, or was starting to just see. So yeah, I mean, I tried to put myself in that time, sitting in the movie theater and watching this. So I think I know I would have been impressed with it. So I think 4.5 is a good place to put it as far as I'm concerned. So
Yeah, no, I like that score. I think
I really
John's too
wanted
low.
to see.
He's
I
not
really
giving
wanted
it enough
someone
credit.
take the oil can to this guy. You know, the Tin Man. I was waiting for that.
Yeah,
Boil him up a little bit. Maybe the guys that were standing around him, you know, all the people doing the testing on the spaceship and all that. Some has to take an oil can up his ass.
yeah. See those guys bringing the jackhammer over?
Give Gort a lube job.
Yeah. Reminds me of that robot that is it Bugs on the Bugs Bunny episode, or was it who was it where he ordered that robot that chased him around? Remember, and he got rusted in the sprinkler or something like that. They reminded me of that. So
well, I'm sure he probably influenced a lot of the robots from that time.
That's what I was going to say too.
Certainly was an influence on the Battlestar Galactica Cylons.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, it was a big influence. A big what was I going to say? Like just a I just say it's a big influence of people that for future sci-fi films to go off of. So,
well, I mean, everybody credits Star Wars influencing so much. Star Wars wasn't always around, so before Star Wars, people had to look at other things like The Day the Earth Stood Still, and to be influenced by.
Well, I think The Day the Earth Stood Still was probably the number one best sci-fi movie until Space Odyssey came out.
Oh,
I mean, that was probably considered, that caliber of film.
Yeah, and that's almost 20 years prior.
Right.
18 or whatever it is, 69
My next one I want to see is Forbidden Planet.
Oh, that's great. And that's right there.
That's what made me think of it. Now, is that black and white as well or not?
I don't think so.
I think that might have been color.
I think I remember that being in color.
Yeah.
And that's
Leslie Nielsen is
right?
in that.
Yeah. It's what, 19 or something?
Yeah.
Well,
that's another good movie.
It is. All right.
Don't call me Shirley.
All right. So again, go check Tim out. I do want to respond real quick before we go. Go check Tim out and check out Sour Grapes. Tim, thank you so much for picking the movie and coming on. And,
yes, thank you for picking this movie and allowing me to watch it again.
I do want to respond.
Very grateful.
I want to respond to Lloyd real quick for saying my score is low, but with a great big fuck you. My score is my score.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding, man.
I know. Manster, why don't you tell everybody out there where they can find Pint of Comics and then put this episode to bed for us.
Right. I'll tell you the 3 words that will put this episode to bed.
Nice.
All right. Check out our website at pintofcomics.com. You'll find articles and reviews and podcasts over there. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to it now. If you would, please give us a good review there. If you like it anyway, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also get podcasts there and special videos that you get, especially from G.I. Gary. He's got a lot of great stuff on there. On Facebook and Twitter, it's at Pint of Comics. And on Instagram, it's at Pint_O_comics. And the 3 words that will get you out of this episode is Ganachtu Monstrata Pinto.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!